there and turn the ads off. Heal from what? Reading? Yeah, on Wednesdays we read. Monetization, ads, turn ads off. Disable. Hello, hello. No idea how to say your name, but hello, nonetheless. I need to clean my camera low-key. This mug dirty. Hold up. We about to get real close and personal. Alright, there we go. Okay, but I don't know. High school shit doesn't matter. We're about to start reading, Aaron. We're about to start reading. The music goes with what we're gonna be reading. It's just on theme with what we're reading. We just haven't started reading yet. We're about to start though. I'm just making sure that shit's good. Which I do need to turn it down a little bit just to make it more background. No, exactly. Yeah. But I'm gonna be honest with you on that one, Leah. I don't think there's a such thing as slowing down for real, for real. I feel like anytime like a relationship's like, oh, we should just slow down, they end up breaking up. If y'all were meant to be, there wouldn't be a need to slow down. Just my opinion. What's up, Serenity? What's up, Miss Heather? How you doing? How you doing, Serenity? What's up, Paula? Alright, I'm gonna start on the previous page. Mad at Wingstop? What you mad at Wingstop for? Still doing your crafts? How's it going? Text your mom's crazy. What's up, baby? Alright, we're gonna start on the last page. And we're gonna start on the page that we finished last week. Forgot your ranch? Damn. It's been good. It's been good, Paula. How about yours? Also, reminder: once we start reading, I'm not really gonna be too responsive to chat. We just focused on the book. We will talk about the book and everything like that as stuff happens. I will still be keeping an eye on chat, but don't feel like I'm ignoring. It's okay. Okay, I can see. What's up, Kat? Yes. Story time. Alright, we're gonna go back to the other page. I need to move y'all over so I can actually see. Okay, and this should be good. Let me see where I want to start. I'm trying to see where it makes sense to start. Where it doesn't just feel like we're just like jumping in. But I guess we are just kind of going to be jumping in. I guess I could, from now on, whenever we're, at least with like these ones, these chapters aren't too long. So I think we're going to just end at the end of a chapter from now on. Because like right now we are just like in a weird place. But Right, we gonna start. Hold on, let me get my let's get this timer up. Effects. Boom. Put that mug up to an hour. And alright, there we go. Actually let me add another board. I'm gonna restart the timer in a second. I'm just gonna add something to the screen real quick. If I can type, goodness gracious. Just putting the book title on the screen so that people can see it. People were asking a lot last week. Alright, and refresh the timer. Maybe if it'll let me. And hello? Start. There we go. There we go. Alright. And what's up, Lexi? He shakes his head sadly. What you lack has nothing to do with experience. No, but I begin. Enough. I have made my decision, he says, raising his voice to cut me off. After a moment, when we both are silent, he gives me give me 1 second to like get back into the swing of reading. It always takes me a second whenever I'm reading out loud, to get back into like, you know, the motion of talking out loud or reading. So give me like a couple pages to like get back into it. But we'll get into it. He gives me a conciliatory half smile. Fight in the tournament if you like for sport, but you will not put on the green sash. You're not ready to be a knight. You can ask me again after the coronation if your heart's still set on it. And if it's a whim, that will be enough time for it to pass. This is no whim. I hate the desperation in my voice, but I have been counting down the days to the tournament. The idea of waiting months just so he can turn me down again fills me with wild despair. Madoc gives me an unreadable look. After the coronation, he repeats. I want to scream at him. Do you know how hard it is to always keep your head down, to swallow insults and endure outright threats, and yet I have done so. I thought it proved my toughness. I thought if you saw I could take whatever came at me and still smile, you would see that I was worthy. You are no killer. He has no idea what I am. Maybe I don't know either. Maybe I never let myself find out. Prince Dane will make a fine king, Oriana says, deftly shifting the conversation back to pleasant things. A coronation means a month of balls. We will need new dresses. She seems to include Taryn and me in the sweeping statement. Magnificent ones. Madoc nods, smiling his toothy smile. Yes, yes. Appreciate you, Megan. Thank you. Welcome to the team, and thank you for following as well. Madoc nods, smiling his toothy smile. Yes, yes, as many as you like. I would have you look your finest and dance your hardest. I try to breathe slowly to concentrate on just one thing. The pomegranate seeds on my plate, shining like rubies, wet with venison blood. After the coronation, Madoc says, I try to focus on that. It only feels like never. I'd love to have a court dress like the ones I've seen in Oriana's wardrobe, opulent patterns intricately stitched on skirts of gold and silver, each as beautiful as the dawn. I focus on that too. But then I go too far and imagine myself in that dress, sword at my hip, transformed, a true member of the court, a knight in the circle of falcons, and Cardon watching me from across the room, standing beside the king, laughing at my pretension. Laughing like he knows this is a fantasy that won't ever be real. I pinch my leg until pain washes everything away. You'll have to wear out the soles of your shoes, just like the rest of us, Vivi says to me and Taryn. I bet Oriana's sick with worry that since Madoc's encouraged you to dance, she can't stop you. Horrors of horrors, you might have a good time. Oriana presses her lips together. That's not fair, nor is it true. Vivi rolls her eyes. If it wasn't true, I couldn't say it. Enough, all of you. Madoc slams his hand down on the table, making us all jump. Coronations are a time when many things are possible. Change is coming, and there is no wisdom in crossing me. I can't tell if he's talking about Prince Dane or ungrateful daughters or both. Are you afraid someone is going to try for the throne? Taryn asks. Like me, she has been raised on strategy, moves and counter moves, ambushes and upper hands. But unlike me, she has Oriana's talent for asking the questions that will steer a conversation towards less rocky shores. The Greenbrier line out to worry, not me, Madoc says, but he looks pleased to be asked. Doubtless some of their subjects wish there were no blood crown and no high king at all. His heirs ought to be particularly careful that the armies of Fairy are satisfied. A well-seasoned strategist waits for the right opportunity. Only someone with nothing to lose would attack the throne with you there to protect it, Oriana says primly. There's always something left to lose, Vivi says, and then makes a hideous face at Oak. He giggles. Oriana reaches for him and then stops herself. Nothing bad is actually happening, and yet I see the gleam in Vivi's cat eyes, and I'm not sure Oriana's wrong to be nervous. Vivi would like to punish Madoc, but her only power is to be a thorn in his side, which means occasionally tormenting Oriana through Oak. I know Vivi loves Oak. He's our brother after all. But that doesn't mean she's above teaching him bad things. Maddox smiles at all of us. Now the picture of contentment. I used to think he didn't notice all the currents of tension that ran through the family, but as I got older, I see that barely suppressed conflict doesn't bother him in the least. He likes it, just as well as open war. Perhaps none of our enemies are particularly good strategists. Let's hope not, Oriana says distractedly, her eyes on Oak, lifting her glass of canary wine. Indeed, says Maddox. Let's have a toast to the incompetence of our enemies. I pick up my glass and knock it into Terrence, then drain it in the very dregs. There's always something left to lose. I think about that all through the dawn, turning it over in my head. Finally, when I can toss and turn no more, I pull on a robe over my nightgown and go outside into the late morning. Bright as hammered gold, it hurts my eyes when I sit down on a patch of clover near the stables, looking back at the house. All of this was my mother's before it was Oriana's. Mom must have been young and in love with Maddox back then. I wonder what it was like for her. I wonder if she thought she was going to be happy here. I wonder if she realized she wasn't. I've heard rumors. It is no small thing to confound the High King's general, to sneak out a ferry with his baby in your belly and hide for almost 10 years. She left behind the burned remains of another woman in the blackened husk of his estate. No one can say she didn't prove her toughness. If she'd just been a little luckier, Maddox would have never realized she was still alive. She had a lot to lose, I guess. I've got a lot to lose too. But so what? Skip our lessons today, I tell Taryn that afternoon. I am dressed and ready early, though I have not slept. I do not feel at all tired. Stay home. She gives me a look of deep concern as a pixie boy, newly indebted to Maddox, braids her chestnut hair into a crown. She is sitting primly at her dressing table, clad all in brown and gold. Telling me not to go means I should. Whatever you're thinking, stop. I know you're disappointed about the tournament. It doesn't matter, I say, although of course it does. It matters so much that now, without hope of knighthood, I feel like a hole is opened up under me and I'm falling through it. Maddox might have changed his mind. She follows me down the stairs, grabbing up our baskets before I can. And at least now you won't have to defy Cardon. I turn on her. Cardon, sorry. I turn on her, even though none of this is her fault. Do you know why Maddox won't let me try for knighthood? Because he thinks I'm weak. Jude, she's cautious. I thought I was supposed to be good and follow the rules, I say, but I'm done with being weak. I'm done with being good. I think I think I'm going to be something else. Only idiots aren't scared of things that aren't scary, Terrence says, which is undoubtedly true, but still fails to dissuade me. Skip lessons today, I tell her again, but she won't, so we go to school together. Taryn watches me warily as I talk with the leader of the mock war, fanned, a pixie girl with skin the blue of flower petals. She reminds me, appreciate you, Keela. Thank you. Welcome back to the team. Glad to have you again, Keela. Where was I at? She reminds me that there's a run through tomorrow in the preparation for the tournament. I nod, biting the inside of my cheek. No one needs to know that my hopes were dashed. No one needs to know I ever had any hope at all. Later, when Cardon, Locke, Nicasia, and Valerian sit down at their lunch, they have to spit out their food in choking horror. All around them are the less awful children of fairy nobles, eating their bread and honey, their cakes and roasted pigeons, their elderflower jam with biscuits and cheese, and the fat globes of grapes. But every single morsel in each of my enemies' baskets has been well and thoroughly salted. Cardon's gaze catches mine, and I can't help the evil smile that pulls up the corners of my mouth. His eyes are bright as coals, his hatred a living thing, shimmering in the air between us like the air above black rocks on a blazing summer day. Have you lost your wits? Taryn demands, shaking my shoulders so that I have to turn to her. You're making everything worse. There is no reason no one stands up to them. There's a reason no one stands up to them, my bad. I know, I say softly, unable to keep the smile off my lips. A lot of reasons. She's right to be worried. I just declared war. Chapter 6. Get them a chef stat. I'm saying, bro. I'm saying. Imagine only being able to eat like cheese and fruit berries and fucking, some toast. Bro, if that's all my meals consisted of, or like salted beef, bro, I would cry. Like salted dried meat, if that's all I was able to eat. Salted dried meat, fruit, and like some cheese, bro, I'd be in tears. I would not be a happy cat. Ingredient household, literally. The book is called Cruel Prince. I have the title right here. But yeah, no, I would not be a happy camper. What's up, JJ? I'm gonna reset the timer to 52 minutes. Once we get back to chapter 6, I'm gonna stop after every chapter. After every chapter, we're gonna stop reading for a minute. The timers for how long we're gonna be reading. That's why I have this over here. We can add time to the clock via gifts. We always just start. We start at an hour, and then we can go up from there. Got no parsley, oregano, rosemary, thyme, bro. They ain't got nothing. They ain't got nothing. They got salt. It seems like all they have is salt. To be so for real. Salt and fucking flour, people. Need bedtime story? I got you, bro. I got you. Hold on. I need this thing to pop up on my screen so I can put the timer back up to 52. Do we like the background music? Wait, so wait, feed me to a good thing. But before I reset the timer, do we like the background music or is it distracting? Yes, very okay, good. Word. I want to inevitably, if we continue doing the reading lives, which I mean I'm enjoying it so far. I've been enjoying them so far. But if we continue the reading lives, and once I get a soundboard, I want to like have the soundboard where I can just press like a button and it'll switch like the vibe of the music. Like, you know, whenever they're like at a party, we can go bam and switch it to like party music. Or whenever they're like, you know, sitting outside, we can switch it to I am Sienna, yeah. Like an elf or some shit. That's a little maybe during like October we can do that. Maybe during October we can do dressing up. But for like a little like Halloween. But yeah, no, I'd like to have like little soundboards. You know, like whenever they're by like a brook, you know, or they're like by the lake, we can like put on, you know, I can press a button and it'll be like, you know, like those kind of sounds that, you know, you'll get little like frogs are croaking, little crickets cricking, you know, shit like that. What's up, Valerie? A vampire wouldn't fit this book, but if we read like a vampire book, yeah. Yeah. Make reading fun, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that would be fun. So we can start with, you know, just music for now, but inevitably we'll incorporate more. I appreciate you for the Go Popular, Valerie, and the Liam Nation. Thank you. And the Harmony as well. Thank you so much. Alright, we're gonna put the timer back up to 52 minutes and then we're gonna continue. Hey, dude. Whoops. Boom. 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 There we go. Chapter 6. I've told this story all wrong. There are things I really ought to have said about growing up in Fairy. I left them out of the story, mostly because I'm a coward. I don't even like to let myself think about them, but maybe knowing a few relevant details about my past will make more sense of why I am the way I am. How fear seeped into my marrow, how I learned to pretend it away. So, here are 3 things I should have told you about myself before, but I didn't. When I was 9, one of Maddox's guards bit off the very top of the ring finger on my left hand. We were outside, and when I screamed, he pushed me hard enough that my head smacked into a wooden post in the stables. Then he made me stand there a while he chewed the piece he'd bitten off. That's actually rancid. That's disgusting. Sorry, I had to pause there. He told me exactly how much he hated mortals. I bled so much. You wouldn't think that much blood could come out of a finger. When it was over, he explained that I better keep what happened a secret, because if I didn't, he'd eat the rest of me. So obviously, I didn't tell anyone. Until now, when I'm telling you. When I was 11, I was spotted hiding under the banquet table at one of the revels by a particularly bored member of the gentry. He dragged me out by one foot, kicking and squirming. I don't think he knew who I was. At least, I tell myself he didn't. But he compelled me to drink, and so I drank. The grass-green fairy wine slipping down my throat like nectar. He danced me around the hill. It was fun at first, the kind of terrifying fun that makes you screech to be put down half the time and feel dizzy and sick the rest. But when the fun wore off and I still couldn't stop, it was just terrifying. It turned out that my fear was equally amusing to him, though. Princess Elowin found me at the end of the revel, puking and crying. She didn't ask me a single thing about how I got that way. She just handed me over to Oriana like it was a misplaced jacket. We never told Maddox about it. What would have been the point? Everybody who saw me probably thought I was having a grand old time. Number 3. When I was 14 and Oak was 4, he glamoured me. He didn't mean to. Well, at least he didn't really understand why he shouldn't. I wasn't wearing any protective charms because I'd just come out of the bath. Oak didn't want to go to bed. He told me to play dolls with him, so we played. He commanded me to chase him, so we played chase through the halls. Then he figured out he could make me slap myself, which was very funny. Tatterfell came up upon us hours later, took a good look at my reddened cheeks and the tears in my eyes, and then ran for Oriana. For weeks, a giggling oak tried to glamour me into getting him sweets, or lifting him above my head, or spitting at the dinner table. Even though it never worked, even though I wore a strand of rowan berries everywhere after that, it was all I could do for months not to strike him to the floor. Oriana has never forgiven me for that restraint. She believes my not revenging myself on him then means I plan to revenge myself in the future. Here's why I don't like these stories. They highlight that I am vulnerable. No matter how careful I am, eventually I'll make another misstep. I am weak, I am fragile, I am mortal. I hate that most of all. Even if by some miracle I could be better than them, I will never be one of them. Chapter 7. They don't wait. There's no need to stop there, so we're just gonna keep going. They don't wait long to retaliate. For the rest of the afternoon and early evening, we receive lessons in history. A cat-headed goblin named Yarrow recites ballads and asks us questions. The more correct answers I give, the angrier Cardon grows. He makes no secret of his displeasure, drawing to Locke about how boring these lessons are, and sneering at the lecture. For once, we're done before dark has fully fallen. Taryn and I start for home, with her giving me concerned glances. The light of sunset filters. Appreciate you, thank you. The light of sunset filters through the trees, and I take a deep breath, drinking in the scent of pine needles. I feel a kind of weird calm, despite the stupidity of what I've done. This isn't like you, Terrence says finally. You don't pick fights with people. Appeasing them won't help. I tow a stone with my butted foot. The more they get away with, the more they believe they're entitled to have. So you're going to, what, teach them manners? Terrence sighs. Even if someone should do it, that doesn't have to be you. She's right. I know she's right. The giddy fury of this afternoon... No, fury, not furry. My fault. The giddy fury of this afternoon will fade, and I will regret what I've done. Probably after a good, long sleep. I'll be as horrified as Taryn is. All I have bought myself is worse problems, no matter how good it felt to solve my pride. You're no killer. What you lack has nothing to do with experience. And yet, I don't regret it now. Having stepped off the edge, what I want to do is fall. I begin to speak when a hand... My phone. I got distracted. I begin to speak when a hand claps down over my mouth. Fingers sink into the skin around my lips. I strike out, swinging my body around, and see Locke grabbing Taryn's waist. Someone has my wrists. I wrench my mouth free and scream, but screams in fairy are like bird song, too common to attract much attention. They push us through the woods, laughing. I hear a whoop from one of the boys. I think I hear Locke say something about larks being over quickly, but it's swallowed up in the merriment. Then I shove at my shoulders in the horrible shock of cold water closing over me. I sputter, trying to breathe. I taste mud and reeds. I shove myself up. Taryn and I are waist high in the river, the current pushing us downstream towards a deeper, rougher part. I dig my feet into the muck at the bottom to keep from being swept away. Taryn is gripping a boulder, her hair wet. She must have slipped. There are nixies in this river, Valerian says. If you don't get out before they find you, they'll pull you under and hold you there. Their sharp teeth will sink into your skin. He mimes, taking a bite. They're all along the river bank, Cardon closest, Valerian beside him. Locke brushes his hand over the tops of cattails and bulrushes, looking abstracted. He does not seem kind now. He seems bored with his friends and with us too. Nixies can't help what they are, Nicasia says, kicking the water so that it splashes my face. Just like you won't be able to help blah 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 blah. Just like you won't be able to help drowning. I dig my feet deeper in the mud. The water filling my boots makes it hard to move my legs, but the mud locks them in place when I manage to stand still. I don't know how I'm going to get to Taryn without slipping. Valerian is emptying her school book. Appreciate you, Chai. Thank you. Our school bags into the river bank. He and Nicasia and Locke take turns hurling the contents into the water. My leather-bound notebooks, rolls of paper that disintegrate as they sink. The books of ballads and histories make an enormous splash. The large between two stones and will not budge. My fine pen and nib shimmer along the bottom. My inkpot shatters on the rocks, turning the river vermilion. Cardon watches me. Although he doesn't lift a finger, I know this is all his doing. In his eyes, I see all the vast alienesses of fairy. Is this fun? I call to the shore. I'm so furious that there's no room for being scared. Are you enjoying yourselves? Enormously, Cardon says. Then his gaze slides from me to where the shadows rest under the water. Are those Nixies? I cannot tell. I just keep moving towards Terran. This is just a game, Nikasia says. But sometimes we play too hard with our toys and then they break. It's not like we drowned you ourselves, Valerian calls. My foot slips on a slick rock, and I am underswept downstream helplessly. Gulping muddy water, I panic, snorting it into my lungs. I thrust out a hand, and it closes on the root of a tree. I get my balance again, gasping and coughing. Nikasia and Valerian are laughing. Locke's expression is unreadable. Cardon has one foot in the reeds, as though to get a better look. Furious and sputtering, I push my way back to Terran, who comes forward to grab my hand and squeeze it hard. I thought you were going to drown, she says, the edge of hysteria in her voice. We're fine, I tell her, digging my feet into the murk. I reach down for a rock. I find a large one and heft it up, green and slick with algae. If the Nixies come at us, I'll hold them off. Quit, Cardon says. He's looking directly at me. He does not even spare a glance for Terran. You should never have been tutored with us. Abandon thoughts of the tourney. Tell Maddock you sorry, I did mess that up. Tell Maddock you don't belong with us. You're betters. Do that and I'll save you. I stare at him. What's up, Michelle? All you have to do is give in, he says. Easy. I look over at my sister. It's my fault she's wet and scared. The river is cold, despite the heat of summer. The current's strong. And you'll save Terran too? Oh, so you do what I say for her sake. Cardon's gaze is hungry, devouring. Does this feel noble? He pauses, and then in that silence, all I hear is Terran's hitched breath. Well, does it? I look at the Nixies, watch them for any sign of movement. Why don't you tell me how you want me to feel? Interesting. He takes another step closer, squatting and regarding us from eye level. There are so few children in Fairy that I've never seen one of us twinned. Is it like being doubled or more like being divided in half? I don't answer. Behind him, I see Nikasia thread her arm through Locke's and whisper something to him. He gives her a scathing look. My fault, bro. I'm doing terrible at reading right now. Thank you for the hard me, Destiny. He gives her a scathing look, and she pouts. Maybe they're annoyed that we're not currently being eaten. Cardon frowns. Twin sister, he says, turning to Terran. Appreciate you, Justin. Thank you. Welcome to the team. Glad to have you. He says, turning to Terran. A smile returns to his mouth, as though a terrible new idea has come to delight him. Would you make a similar sacrifice? Let's find out. I have a most generous offer for you. Climb up the bank and kiss me on both of my cheeks. Once that's done, so long as you don't defend your sister, by word or deed, I won't hold you accountable for her defiance. Now, isn't that a good bargain? But you get it only if you come to us now and leave her there to drown. Show her that she will always be alone. Should have joined forever ago. Well, I'm glad to have you. Welcome to the team, Chai. Glad to have you. For a moment, Terran stands still, as if frozen. Go, I say. I'll be fine. It still hurts when she wades toward the bank, but of course she should go. She will be safe, and the price is nothing that matters. One of the pale shapes detaches from the others and swims towards her, but my shadow in the water makes it hesitate. I mime throwing the rock, and he jolts a little. They like easy prey. Valerian takes Terran's hands and helps her out of the water as if she were a great lady. Her dress is soaked, dripping as she moves, like the dresses of water sprites or sea nymphs. She presses her bluish lips to Cardon's cheeks, one and then the other. Appreciate you, Destiny, thank you. She keeps her eyes closed, but his are open, watching me. Say I forsake my sister, Jude, Nikasia tells her. I won't help her. I don't even like her. Terran looks in my direction, quick and apologetic. I don't have to say that. That wasn't part of the bargain, the others laugh. Cardon's boot parts the thistles and bulrushes. Locke starts to speak, but Cardon cuts him off. Your sister abandoned you. See what we can do with a few words, and everything can get so much worse. We can enchant you to run around on all fours, barking like a dog. We can curse you to wither away for want of a song you'll never hear again, or a kind word from my lips. We're not mortal. We will break you. You're a fragile little thing. We'd hardly need to try. Give up. Never, I say. He smiles smug. Never? Never is like forever, too big for mortals to comprehend.
The shape in the water remains where it is, probably because the presence of Cardon and the others make it seem like I have friends who might defend me if I were attacked. I wait for Cardon's next move, watching him carefully. I hope I look defiant. He scrutinizes me for a long, awful moment. Think on us, he says to me. All through your long, sodden, shameful walk home, think on your answer. This is the least of what we can do. With that, he turns away from us, and after a moment, the others turn too. I watch him go. I watch them all go. When they're out of sight, I pull myself onto the bank, flopping onto my back in the mud next to where Taryn is standing. I take a big, gulping breaths of air. The Nixies begin to surface, looking at us with hungry, opalescent eyes. They peer at us through a patch of foxtails. One begins to crawl onto land. I throw my rock. It doesn't come close to hitting, but the splash startles them into not coming closer. Grunting, I force myself up to begin walking. And all through our walk home, while Taryn makes the soft, sobbing sounds, I think about how much I hate them and how much I hate myself. And then I don't think about anything but lifting my wet boots, one step after another, carrying me past the briars and fiddleheads and elms, past bushes of red-lipped cherries, barberries and damsons, past the wood sprites whose nest in the rose bushes, home to a bath and a bed in a world that isn't mine and might never be. I appreciate you for the heartbeat, Jordan. Thank you. Shop tight! Damn, bro. They just getting fucked up, bro. They really don't like people in this story. Or in this, like, in this world, they really don't fuck with people. Like, at all. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate you. We're gonna reset the timer to 39 minutes once we go back to reading. Appreciate you, Chai, for the divine fingers. But how we feeling? How we feeling? How we feeling so far, y'all? But yeah, no, they really don't fuck with people in this. They was really about to drown her, turn her own sister against her. They said, "Shit, y'all twins, but fire. Not right now." Doing some reading tonight. Yeah, every on Wednesdays we read. On Wednesdays we read. We start out at an hour. We can add time via gifts. That's why I have like this viewer wishes here, and it says add a minute, add 5, add 10, add an hour, whatever. What are you reading? We're reading The Cruel Prince. I appreciate you for the roses, Destiny. Thank you. Hey, we said 5,000 likes as well, y'all. Thank you so much for tapping, everybody. Appreciate y'all. See the banner up there? Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Maddie? But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far, though. I'm enjoying the book so far. Aside from, like, bro, they're low-key, like, they're kind of racist. Not even kind of. They just are. What's up, TJ? Good to see you. Appreciate you for coming through. But yeah, no, bro. They low-key racist as hell in this story. Tactical racism strikes again. It does. It does indeed. It does indeed. Like, they OD. Alright. Let's put our timer back to 39 and then we'll continue. 39. There we go. It's giving get your Grammy Mortal Pause away from me. Literally. Literally. What's the plan tonight, Big Bot? We just reading for a little bit. After we're done reading, we'll get back to our normal parts of the live, like just you know, chatting, battling, listening to music, vibing, all that stuff. But we reading for as long as our timer's going, we reading. We got 39 minutes right now left on reading, which we can add to, of course. But as of right now, we're at 39. Right, I'm gonna start again in a second. But the book sounds good from what I've heard. Well, that's good. I'm glad y'all are enjoying. Alright. Chop tight! My head is pounding when Vivian shakes me awake. She jumps onto the bed, kicking off the coverlets and making the frame groan. I press a cushion over my face and curl up on my side, trying to ignore her and go back to dreamless slumber. Get up, sleepyhead, she says, pulling back my blankets. We're going to the mall. I make a strangled noise and wave her away. Up, she commands, leaping again. No, I moan, burrowing deeper in what's left of the blankets. I've got to rehearse for the tournament. Vivi stops bouncing, and I realize that it's no longer true. I don't have to fight, except that I foolishly told Cardon I would never quit. I appreciate you, Justin. Thank you. Which makes me remember the river and the Nixies and Taryn, how she was right, and I was magnificently, extravagantly wrong. I'll buy you coffee when we get there. Coffee with chocolate and whipped cream. Vivi is relentless. Come on, Taryn's waiting. I half stumble out of bed, standing. I scratch my hip and glare. She gives me her most charming smile, and I find my annoyance fading, despite myself. Vivi is often selfish, but she's so cheerful about it and so encouraging of cheerful selfishness and others that it's easy to have fun with her. I dress quickly in the modern clothes I keep in the very back of my wardrobe: jeans, an old gray sweater with a black star on it, and a pair of glittery silver Converse high tops. I pull my hair into a slouchy knitted hat, and when I catch a glimpse of myself in the full-length mirror, carved so that it seems like a pair of body fawns are on either side of the glass leering, a different person is looking back at me. Maybe the person I might have been if I'd been raised human, whoever that is. When we were little, we used to talk about getting back to the human world all the time. Vivi kept saying that if she learned just a little more magic, we'd be able to go. We were going to find an abandoned mansion, and she was going to enchant birds to take care of us. They would buy us pizza and candy, and we would go to school only if we felt like it. But the time Vivi learned how to travel there, though, reality had intruded on our plans. It turns out birds can't really buy pizza, even if they are enchanted. I meet my sisters in front of Maddox stables, where silver-shod fairy horses are pinned up beside enormous toads ready to be saddled and bridled, and reindeer with broad antlers hung with bells. Vivi is wearing black jeans and a white shirt, mirrored sunglasses hiding her cat eyes. Taryn has on pink jeggings, a fuzzy cardigan, and a pair of ankle boots. We try to imitate girls we see in the human world, girls in magazines, girls we see on movie screens and air-conditioned theaters, eating candy so sweet it makes my teeth ache. I don't know what people think when they look at us. These clothes are a costume for me. I'm playing dress up in ignorance. I no more can guess the assumptions that go along with glittering sneakers than a child in a dragon costume knows what real dragons would make of the color of her scales. Vivi picks stalks of ragwort that grow near the water troughs. After finding 3 that meet her specifications, she lifts the first and blows on it, saying, "Steed, rise, and bear us where I command." With those words, she tosses the stalk to the ground, and it becomes a raw-boned yellow pony with emerald eyes and a mane that resembles lacy foliage. It makes an odd, keening neigh. She throws down 2 more stalks, and moments later, 3 ragwort ponies snort the air and snuffle at the ground. They look a little like seahorses, and will ride over land and sky, according to Vivi's command, keeping their seeming for hours before collapsing back into weeds. It turns out that passing between fairy and the mortal world isn't all that difficult. Fairy exists beside and below mortal towns, in the shadows of mortal cities, and at their rotten, derelict, worm-eaten centers. Fairies live in hills, in valleys, in burrows, and alleys and abandoned mortal buildings. Vivi isn't the only fairy from our islands to sneak across the sea and into the human world with some regulatory. Although most dawn mortals guises to mess with people. Less than a month ago, Valerian was bragging about campers he and his friends had tricked into feasting with them, gorging on rotten leaves enchanted to look like delicacies. I climbed onto my ragwort steed and wrapped my hands around the creature's neck. There is always a moment when it begins to move that I cannot help grinning. There is something about the sheer impossibility of it, the magnificence of these woods streaking by, and the way the ragwort hooves kick up gravel as they leap up into the air, that gives me an electric rush of pure adrenaline. I swallow the howl clawing up my throat. We ride over the cliffs and then the sea, watching mermaids leap in the spangled waves and selkies rolling along the surf, past the fog perpetually surrounding the islands and concealing them from mortals. And then, on the shoreline, past 2 lights state park, a golf course, and a jetport. We touch down in a small tree-covered patch across the road from the main mall. Vivi's shirt flutters in the wind as she lands. Taryn and I dismount. With a few words from Vivi, the ragwort steeds become just 3 half-wilted weeds among others. Remember where we parked, Taryn says with a grin, and then we start toward the mall. Vivi loves this place. She loves to drink mango smoothies, try on hats, and buy whatever we want with acorns she enchants to pass as money. Taryn doesn't love it the way Vivi does, but she has fun. When I'm here, though, I feel like a ghost. We strut through JCPenney's, funny ad place.
Just to name JCPenney's in this book is just so funny to me. We strut through the JCPenney as though we are the most dangerous things around. But when I see human families all together, especially families with sticky mouthed, giggling little sisters, I don't like the way I feel. Angry. I don't imagine myself back in a life like theirs. What I imagine is going over there and scaring them until they cry. I would never, of course. I mean, I don't think I would. Taryn seems to notice the way my gaze snags on a child whining to her mother. Unlike me, Taryn is adaptable. She knows the right things to say. She'd be okay if she were thrust back into this world. She's okay now. She will fall in love, just as she said. She will metamorphose into a wife or consort and raise fairy children who will adore and outlive her. The only thing holding her back is me. I am so glad she can't guess my thoughts. So, Vivi says. Oh, whoops, I skipped pages on accident. Which way did I go? Oh, there we go. So, Vivi says, we're here because you both could use some cheering up. So cheer up. I look over at Taryn and take a deep breath, ready to apologize. I don't know if that's what Vivi had in mind, but it's what I've known I had to do since I got out of bed. I'm sorry, I blurt out. You're probably mad, Taryn says at the same time. At you? I'm astonished. Taryn droops. I swore to Cardon that I wouldn't help you, even though I came with you that day to help. I shake my head vehemently. However the hell you say that word. Vehemently, I think. Really? Really, Taryn? You're the one who should be angry that I got you tossed into the water in the first place. Getting yourself out of there was the smart thing to do. I would never be mad about that. Oh, she says. Okay. Taryn told me about the prank you played on the prince, Vivi says. I see myself reflected in her sunglasses, doubled, quadrupled with Taryn beside me. Pretty good, but now you're gonna have to do something much worse. I've got some ideas. No, Taryn says. Bro, I keep skipping pages. Taryn says with vehemence. Jude doesn't need to do anything. She was just upset about Madoc in the tournament. If she goes back to ignoring them, they'll go back to ignoring her too. Maybe not at first, but eventually. I bite my lip because I don't know if that's true. Forget Madoc. Knighthood would have been boring anyways, Vivi says, effectively dismissing the thing that I've been working toward for years. I sigh. It's annoying, but also reassuring that she doesn't think it's that big of a deal when the losses felt overwhelming to me. So what do you want to do? I ask Vivi to avoid any more of this discussion. Are we seeing a movie? Do you want to try on lipsticks? Don't forget you promised me coffee. I want you to meet my girlfriend, Vivian says. And I remember the pink-haired girl in the strip of photos. She asked me to move in with her. Here? I ask, as though there could be anywhere other place. The mall? Vivi laughs at our expressions. We're going to meet her here today, but probably find a different place to live. Heather doesn't know Fairy exists, so don't mention it, okay? Thank God I just got paid from TikTok. Thank you, TikTok. Appreciate you. W TikTok Shop, bro. W TikTok Shop. I appreciate you, Justin. Thank you. If I do miss any gifts, I'm so sorry. I'm trying my best to pay attention. What's up, Vince? When Taryn and I were 10, Vivi learned how to make ragwort horses. We ran away from Madoc's house a few days later. Appreciate you, Von Say, for the heart meet. Thank you. At a gas station, Vivi enchanted a random woman to take us home with her. I still remember the woman's blank face as she drove. I wanted to make her smile, but no matter what funny faces I pulled, her expression didn't change. We spent that night in her house, sick after having ice cream for dinner. I cried myself to sleep, clinging to her weeping Taryn. After that, Vivi found us a motel room with a stove, and we learned how to cook macaroni and cheese from the package. We made coffee in the coffee pot because we remembered how our old house had smelled like it. We watched the television and swam in the pool with other kids staying in the motel. I hated it. We lived that way for 2 weeks before Taryn and I begged Vivi to take us home, to take us back to Fairy. We missed our beds, we missed the food we were used to, we missed magic. I think it broke Vivi's heart to return, but she did it, and she stayed. Whatever else I can say about Vivi when it really mattered, she stuck by us. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that she didn't plan to stay forever. Why didn't you tell us, Taryn demands. I am telling you. I just did, Vivi says, leading us past stores with looping images of video games, past gleaming displays of bikinis, not Birkins, my fault. I'm like fashion-minded. Of bikinis and flowing maxi dresses, past cheese-injected pretzels, and stores with counters full of gleaming heart-shaped diamonds, promising true love. Strollers stream past, groups of teenage boys in jerseys, elderly couples holding hands. You should have said something sooner, says Taryn, hands on her hips. Here's my plan to cheer you up, Vivi says.
We all move to the human world, move in with Heather. Jude doesn't have to worry about knighthood, and Taryn doesn't have to throw herself away on some silly fairy boy. Does Heather know about this plan? Taryn asks skeptically. Vivi shakes her head, smiling. Sure, I say, trying to make a joke of it. Except that I have no marketable skills other than swinging around a sword and making up riddles, neither of which probably pay all that well. The mortal world is where we grew up, Vivi insists, climbing onto a bench and walking the length of it, acting as though it were a stage. She pushes her sunglasses up onto her head. You'd get used to it again, where you grew up. She was 9 when we were taken. Appreciate you, Noel, for the donut. Thank you. She was 9 when we were taken. She remembers so much more about being human than we do. It's unfair, since she's also the only one with magic. The folk are going to keep treating you like crap, Vivi says, and hops down in front of us, cat eyes flashing. A lady with a baby carriage swerves to avoid us. What do you mean? I look away from Vivi, concentrating on the pattern of the tiles under my feet. Oriana acts like you two being mortal is some kind of awful surprise that gets sprung on her all over again every morning, she says, and Maddox killed our parents, so that sucks. And then there are the jerks at school that you don't like to talk about. I was just talking about those jerks, I say, not giving her the satisfaction of being shocked by what she said about our parents. She acts like we don't remember, like there's some way I am ever going to forget. She acts like it's her personal tragedy and hers alone. And you didn't like it. Vivi looks immensely pleased with herself for that particular riposte. Did you really think that being a knight would make everything better? I don't know, I say. Vivi swings on Taryn. What about you? Fairy is all we know. Taryn holds up a hand to forestall any more argument. Here we wouldn't have anything. There'd be no balls and no magic and no... Well, I think I'd like it here. Vivi snaps and stalks off ahead of us toward the Apple store. We've talked about it before, of course, how Vivi thinks we're stupid for not being able to resist the intensity of Fairy, for desiring to stay in a place of such danger. Maybe growing up the way we have, bad things feel good to us, or maybe we're stupid in the exact same way as every other idiot mortal who's pinned away from another bite of goblin fruit. Maybe it doesn't matter. A girl is standing in front of the entrance, playing around on her phone. The girl, I assume, Heather. Heather is small, with faded pink hair and brown skin. She's wearing a t-shirt with a hand-drawn design across the front. There are pin stains on her fingers. I realize abruptly that she might be the artist who drew the comics I've seen Vivi pore over. I begin a curtsy before I remember myself and awkwardly stick out a hand. I'm Vivi's sister Jude, I say, and this is Taryn. The girl shakes my hand. Her palm is warm, her grip nearly non-existent. It's funny how Vivi, who tried so hard to escape being anything like Maddox, wound up falling in love with a human girl as Maddox did. I'm Heather, the girl says. It's great to meet you. V almost never talks about her family. Taryn and I glance at each other. V? You want to sit down or something? Heather says, nodding toward the food court. Somebody owes me coffee, I say pointedly to Vivi. We order and sit and drink. Heather tells us that she's in community college, studying art. She tells us about comics she likes and bands she's into. We dodge awkward questions. We lie. When Vivi gets up to throw away our trash, Heather asks us if she's the first girlfriend Vivi has let us meet. Taryn nods. That must mean she likes you a lot. So can I visit your place now? My parents are ready to buy a toothbrush for V. How come I don't get to meet hers? I almost snort my mocha. Did she tell you anything about our family? Heather sighs. No. Our dad is really conservative, I say. A boy with spiky black hair and a wallet chain passes us, smiling in my direction. I have no idea what he wants. Maybe he knows Heather. She's not paying attention. I don't smile back. Does he even know V is bi? Heather asks, astonished, but then Vivi returns to the table so we don't have to keep making up stuff. Liking both girls and boys is the only thing in this scenario Maddox wouldn't be upset with Vivi about. After that, the four of us wander the mall, trying on purple lipsticks and eating sour apple candy slices crusted in sugar that turn my tongue green. I delight in the chemicals that would doubtless sicken all the lords and ladies in the court. Heather seems nice. Heather has no idea what she's getting herself into. We say polite farewells near Newberry Comics. Vivi watches 3 kids picking out bobblehead figurines, her gaze vivid. I wonder what she thinks as she moves among humans. At moments like that, she seems like a wolf learning the patterns of sheep, but when she kisses Heather, she is entirely sincere. I'm glad you lied for me, Vivi says as we retrace our steps through the mall. You're going to have to tell her eventually, I say. If you're serious, if you're really moving to the moral world to be with her. And when you do, she's still going to want to meet Maddox, Terrence says, although I can see why Vivi wants to avoid that for as long as possible. Vivi shakes her head. Love is a noble cause. How can anything be done in the service of a noble cause be wrong? Taryn chews her lip. Before we leave, we stop by CVS and I pick up tampons. Every time I buy them, it's a reminder that while the folk can look like us, they are a species apart. Even Vivi is a species apart. I divide the package in half and give the other portion to Taryn. I know what you're wondering. No, they don't bleed once a month. Yes, they do bleed annually. Sometimes less frequently than that. Yes, they have solutions, padding mostly, and yes, those solutions suck. Yes, everything about it is embarrassing. We start to cut across the parking lot towards our ragwort stocks when a guy about our age touches my arm, warm fingers closing just above my wrist. Hey, sweetheart. I have an impression of a two big black shirt, jeans, a chain wallet, spiky hair, the glint of a cheap knife in his boots. I saw you before, and I was just wondering. I'm turning before I can think, my fist cracking into his jaw, my booted foot. I appreciate you, Chai. Thank you, and thank you for posting live, Bria. My booted foot hits his gut as he falls, rolling over the pavement. I blink and find myself standing there, staring down at a kid who is gasping for air and starting to cry. My boot is raised to kick him in the throat, to crush his windpipe. The mortals standing around him are staring at me in horror. My nerves are jangling, but it's an eager jangle. I'm ready for more. I think he was flirting with me. I don't even remember deciding to hit him. Come on, Taryn jerks my arm and all three of us run. Someone shouts. I look over my shoulder. One of the boy's friends has given chase. Bitch, he shouts. Crazy bitch, Milo is bleeding. Vivi whispers a few words and makes a motion behind us. As she does, the crabgrass begins to grow, pushing gaps in the asphalt wider. The boy comes to a halt as something rushes by him, a look of confusion on his face. Pixie led, they call it. He wanders through a row of cars as though he has no idea where he's going. Unless he turns his clothes inside out, which I am fairly confident he doesn't know how to do. He'll never find us. We stop near the edge of the lot, and Vivi immediately begins to giggle. Maddox would be so proud of his little girl, remembering all her training, she says, staving off the terrifying possibility of romance. I'm too stunned to say anything. Hitting him was the most honest thing I've done in a long time. I feel better than great. I feel nothing, a glorious emptiness. See, I tell Vivi, I can't go back to the world. Look what I would do to it. To that, she has no response. What's up, Eurydice? I think about what I did all the way home, and then again at school. A lecturer from a court near the coast explains how things wither and die. Cardon gives me a significant look as she explains decomposition, rot. But what I'm thinking about is the stillness I felt when I hit that boy. That and the summer tournament tomorrow. I dreamed of my triumph there. None of Cardon's threats would have kept me from wearing the gold braid I've been fighting as hard as I could. Now, though, his threats are the only reason I have to fight. The sheer perverse glory of not backing down. When we break to eat, Taryn and I climb a tree to eat cheese and oatcakes slathered with choke cherry jelly. There we go. With choke cherry jelly, Fan calls up to me, wanting to know why I didn't attend the rehearsal for the mock war. I forgot. I call back to her, which is not particularly believable, but I don't care. But you're going to fight tomorrow, she asks. If I pull out, Fan will have to rearrange teams. Taryn gives me a hopeful look, as though I may come to my senses. I'll be there, I say. My pride compels me. Lessons are almost over when I notice Taryn standing beside Cardon near a circle of thorn trees weeping. I must not have been paying attention, must have gotten too involved in packing up our books and things. I didn't even see Cardon take my sister aside. I know she would have gone, though, no matter the excuse. She still believes that if we do what they want, they'll get bored and leave us alone. Maybe she's right, but I don't care. Tears spill over her cheeks. There is such a deep well of rage inside of me. You're no killer. I leave my books and cross the grass toward them. Cardon half turns, and I shove him so hard that his back hits one of the trees. His eyes go wide. I don't know what you said to her, but don't you ever go near my sister again, I tell him, my hand still on the front of his velvet doublet. You gave her your word. I can feel the eyes of all the other students on me. Everyone's breath is drawn. For a moment, Cardon just stares at me with stupid, crow-black eyes. Then one corner of his mouth curls. Oh, he says, you're going to regret doing that. I don't think he realizes just how angry I am or how good it feels, for once, to give up on regrets. Chapter 9! You
DC? Oh shit. You were DC like that? Man, Loki, I hope that she beats this boy's ass during this tournament. Can't lie. I hope that she beats this boy's ass. What are they doing again? And what regard? What's up, Sansino? It's just it's like a fighting tournament. It's like a mock war, basically. Eurydice? Eurydice? Like that? Word. Okay, we'll put it back up to 18 minutes. This will probably be our last chapter. Unless somebody adds time, this will probably be our last chapter. Chapter 9. Taryn won't tell me what the Prince Cardon said to her. She insists that it had nothing to do with me, that he wasn't actually breaking his promise not to hold her accountable for my bad behavior, that I should forget about her and worry about myself. Jude, give it up. She sits in front of the fire in her bedroom, drinking a cup of nettled tea from a clay mug shaped like a snake, its tail coiling to make the handle. She has on her dressing gown, scarlet to match the flames in the grate. Sometimes when I look at her, it seems impossible that her face is also mine. She looks soft, pretty, like a girl in a painting. Like a girl who fits inside her own skin. Just tell me what he said, I press. There's nothing to tell, Terrence says. I know what I'm doing. And what's that? I ask her, my eyebrows lifting, but she only sighs. We've gone 3 rounds like this already. I keep thinking of the lazy blink of Cardon's lashes over his cold, bright eyes. He looked gleeful, gloating, as though my fist tightening on his shirt was exactly what he would wished. As though if I struck him, it would be because he had made me do it. I can annoy you in the hills and also the dales, I say, poking her in the arm. I will chase you from crag to crag across all 3 islands until you tell me something. I think we could both bear it better if no one else had to see, she says, then takes a long pull of her tea. What? I'm surprised into not knowing what to say in return. What do you mean? I mean, I think I could stand being teased and being made to cry if you didn't know about it. She gives me a steady look, as though evaluating how much truth I can handle. I can't just pretend my day was fine with you as a witness to what really happened. Sometimes it makes me not like you. That's not fair, I exclaim. She shrugs. I know. That's why I'm telling you. But what Cardon said to me doesn't matter, and I want to pretend it didn't happen, so I need you to pretend along with me. No reminders, no questions, no cautions. Stung, I stand and walk to the fireplace mantel. Leaning my head against the carved stone, I can't count the number of times she's told me that messing with Cardon and his friends is stupid, and yet given what she's saying now, whatever made her cry this afternoon has nothing to do with me. Which means she's gotten into some kind of trouble all on her own. Taryn might have a lot of advice to give. I'm not sure she's taking all of it. So what do you want me to do? I ask. I want you to fix things with him, she says. Prince Cardon's got all the power. There's no winning against him, no matter how brave or clever or even cruel you are, Jude. End this before you get really hurt. I look at her uncomprehendingly. Avoiding Cardon's wrath now seems impossible. That ship has sailed and burned up in the harbor. I can't, I tell her. You heard what Prince Cardon said by the river. He just wants you to give up. It's a blow to his pride and hurts his status. You acting like you're not afraid of him. She takes my arm at the wrist, pulling me close. I can smell the sharp scent of herbs on her breath. Tell him that he's won and you've lost. They are just words. You don't have to mean them. I shake my head. Don't fight him tomorrow, she continues. I'm not withdrawing from the tournament, I tell her. Even if it wins you nothing but more woe, she asks. Even then, I say. Do something else, she insists. Find a way. Fix it before it's too late. I think of all the things that she won't say. All the things that I wish I knew. But since she wants me to pretend everything is fine, all I can do is swallow my questions and leave her to her fire.
In my room, I find my tournament outfit spread out on my bed, scented with verbena and lavender. It's a slightly padded tunic stitched with metallic thread. The pattern is of a crescent moon turned on its side like a cup, with a droplet of red falling from one of the corner, a dagger, and beneath the whole, Maddox's crest. I cannot put on the tunic to. I cannot put. I blah blah blah. I cannot put on that tunic tomorrow and fail, not without bringing disgrace on my household. And although embarrassing Maddox might give me a contrary pleasure, a small revenge for denying my knighthood, I'd embarrass myself too. What I should do is go back to keeping my head down, be decent, be not memorable. Let Cardon and his friends show off, save up my skill to surprise the court when Maddox gives me permission to seek a knighthood, if that ever happens. That's what I should do. I knock the tunic to the floor and climb under the coverlets, pulling them up over my head so that I'm slightly smothered, so that I breathe in my own warm breath. I fall asleep like that. In the afternoon, when I rise, the garment is wrinkled, and I have no one to blame but myself. You are a foolish child, Tatterfell says, scraping my hair into tight warrior braids, with a memory like that of a sparrow. On my way to the kitchens, I pass Maddox in the hall. He is dressed all in green, his mouth pulled into a grim line. Hold a moment, he says. I do. He frowns. I know what it is to be young and hungry for glory. I bite my lip and say nothing. After all, he hasn't asked me a question. We stand there watching each other. His cat eyes narrow. There are so many unsaid things between us, so many reasons we can only be something like father and daughter, but never fully inhabit our roles. You will come to understand this is for the best, he says finally. Enjoy your battle. I make a deep bow and head for the door. My trip to the kitchen is abandoned. All I want to do is get away from the house, from the reminder that there is no place for me at the court, no place for me at Ferry. What you lack is nothing to do with experience. The summer tournament is being held on the edge of a cliff on Innswil, the Isle of Woe. It's far enough that I take a mount, a pale gray horse stabled beside a toad. The toad watches me with golden eyes as I saddle the mare and throw myself up onto her back. I arrive at the grounds out of sorts, slightly late, anxious and hungry. A crowd is already gathering around the tinted box where the High King Eldred and the rest of the royals will sit. Long cream-colored banners whip through the air, flying Eldred's symbol, a tree that is half white flowers and half thorns, roots dangling beneath it and a crown atop. The uniting of the seal courts, the unseal courts, and the wild fae, under one crown, the dream of Greenbrier Lane. The decadent eldest son, Prince Balakin, is sprawled into a carved chair, 3 attendants around him. His sister, Princess Raya, the huntress, sits beside him. Her eyes are all on the potential combatants, readying themselves on the grounds. A wave of panicky frustration comes over me at the sight of her intent expression. I so badly wanted her to choose me to be one of her knights, and though she can't now, a sudden awful fear that I couldn't have impressed her comes over me. Maybe Maddox was right. Maybe I lack the instinct for dealing death. If I don't try too hard today, at least I never need to know if I would have been good enough. My group is to go first, but we are the youngest, still in training, using wooden swords instead of live steel, unlike those who follow us. Bouts of fighting will last the whole day, broken up by bardic performances, a few feats of clever magic, displays of archery, and other skills. I can smell spiced wine in the air, but not yet that other perfume of tournaments. Fresh blood. Fan is organizing us into rows, handing out armbands in silver and gold. Her blue skin is even more blazingly cerulean under the bright sky. Her armor is varying shades of blue as well, with oceanic Tiberi, with her green sash cutting across the breastplate. She will stand out no matter how she fares, which is a calculated risk. If she does well, the audience cannot fail to notice, but she better do well. As I approach the other students with their practice swords, I hear my name whispered. Unnerved, I look around, only to realize I am being scrutinized in a new way. Taryn and I are always noticeable, being mortal, but what makes us stand out is also what makes us unworthy of much regard. Today, however, that's not so. The children of Fairy seem to be holding a single indrawn breath, waiting to see what my punishment will be for putting hands on Cardon the day before, waiting to see what I'm going to do next. I look across the field at Cardon and his friends, with silver on their arms. Cardon is wearing silver on his chest, too. A plate of gleaming steel that hooks over his shoulders and seems more ornamental. Appreciate you, Merrick, for the hard meat. Thank you. A plate of gleaming steel that hooks over his shoulders and seems more ornamental than protective. Valerian smirks at me. I do not give him the satisfaction of smirking back. Fan gives me a gold band and tells me where to stand. There are to be 3 rounds in the mock war and 2 sides. Each side has a cloak of hide to protect. One, that of a yellow deer, the other, that of a silvery fox fur. I drink some water out of a pewter carafe set out for participants and begin to warm up. My stomach is sour with the lack of food, but I no longer feel hungry. I feel sick, eaten up with nerves. I try to ignore everything but the exercises. I move through to limber up my muscles. And then it's time. We troop onto the field and salute the seat of the High King, although Eldred has not yet arrived. The crowd is thinner than it will be closer to sunset. Prince Dane is there though, with Maddox beside him. Princess Elowen strums a lute thoughtfully. Vivi and Taryn have come to watch, although I see neither Oriana nor Oak. Vivi gestures with a kebab of glistening fruit, making Princess Raya laugh. Taryn watches me intently, as though trying to warn me of their gaze. Fix it. Although the first battle, I fight defensively. I avoid Cardon, nor I appreciate you, Wendy, for the heart me. Thank you. All through the first battle, I fight defensively. I avoid Cardon, nor do I come near Nicasia, Valerian, or Locke. Even when Valerian knocks Van to the dirt, even when Valerian rips down our deer hide, I do nothing. Then we are called to the field for the second battle. Cardon walks behind me. You're docile today. Did your sister admonish you? She desires your approval very much. One of his booted feet toes the clover coved ground, kicking up a clod. I imagine that if I asked, she'd roll with me right here until we turned her white gown green, and then I'd thank me for the honor of my favor. He smiles, going in for the kill, leaning towards me as if confiding a secret. Not that I'd be the first to green ground her. My good intentions evaporate on the wind. My blood is on fire, boiling in my veins. I do not have much power, but here is what I have. I can force his hand. Cardon might not want to hurt me, but I can make him want to hurt me worse. We're supposed to play at war. When they call us to our places, I play. I play as viciously as possible. My practice sword cracks against Cardon's ridiculous chestplate. My shoulder bangs against Valerian's shoulder so hard that he staggers back. I attack again and again, knocking down anyone wearing a silver armband. When the mock war is over, my eye is blackened, both of my knees are skinned, and the gold side has won the second and third battles. You're no killer, Maddox says. Right now I feel that I could be. The crowd applauds, and it is as if I have suddenly woken from a dream. I forget about them. A pixie tosses flower petals at us from the sands. Vivi salutes me with a goblet of something as Princess Raya applauds politely. Maddox is no longer in the royal box. Balakin is gone too. The High King Eldred is there, though sitting on a slightly elevated platform, speaking with Dane, his expression remote. I start to tremble all over, the adrenaline draining out of me. Courtiers waiting for better battles study my bruises and evaluate my prowess. No one seems particularly impressed. I have done my best, have fought my hardest, and it wasn't enough. Maddox didn't even stay to watch. My shoulders slump. Worse, Cardon is waiting for me when I get off the field. I am struck suddenly by his height, by the arrogant sneer he wears like a crown. He would seem like a prince, even dressed in rags. Cardon grabs my face, fingers splayed against my neck. His breath is against my cheek. His other hand grabs my hair, winding it into a rope. Do you know what mortal means? It means born to die. It means deserving of death. That's what you are. What defines you? Dying. And yet here you stand, determined to oppose me, even as you rot away from the inside out. You corrupt, corrosive, mortal creature. Tell me how that is. Do you really think you can win against me, against a prince of fairy? I swallow hard. No, I say. His black eyes simmer with rage. So you're not completely lacking in some small amount of animal cunning. Good. Now, beg my forgiveness. I take a step back and tug, trying to wrench free of his grasp. He holds onto my braids, staring down into my face with hungry eyes and a small, awful smile. Then he opens his hand, letting me stagger free. Individual strands of hair flutter through the air. On the periphery, there we go. On the periphery of my vision, I see Taryn standing with Locke, near where other knights are donning their armor. She looks at me pleadingly, as though she is the one who needs to be saved. Get down on your knees, Cardon says, looking insufferably pleased with himself. His fury has transmuted into gloating. Beg. Make it pretty. Flowery. worthy of me. The other children of the gentry are standing around in the padded tunics with their practiced swords, watching, hoping on my downfall will be amusing. Hoping my downfall will be amusing. This is the show they've been expecting since I stood up to him. This isn't a mock war. This is the real thing. Beg? I echo. For a moment he looks surprised, but that's quickly replaced by an even greater malice. You defied me, more than once. Your only hope is to throw yourself on my mercy in front of everyone. Do it, or I will keep on hurting you until there is nothing left to hurt. I think of the dark shapes, of the Nixies in the water and the boy at the revel, howling over his torn wing. I think of Terran's tear-stained face. I think of how Raya would have never have chosen me, of how Maddock didn't even wait to see the conclusion of the battle. There's no shame in surrender. As Terran said, they're just words. I don't have to mean them. I can lie. I start to lower myself to the ground. This will be over quickly. Every word will taste like a bile, and then it'll be over. When I open my mouth, though, nothing comes out. I can't do it. Instead, I shake my head at the thrill running through me, at the sheer lunacy of what I'm about to do. It's the thrill of leaping without being able to see the ground below you right before you realize that's called falling. You think because you can humiliate me, you can control me, I say, looking at him with those black eyes. Well, I think you're an idiot. Since we started being tutored together, you've gone out of your way to make me feel like I'm less than you and to coddle your ego. I have made myself less, I have made myself small, I have kept my head down, but it wasn't enough to make you leave Terran and me alone. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to keep on defying you. I'm going to shame you with my defiance. You remind me that I am a mere mortal and you are a prince of fairy. Well, let me remind you that means you have much to lose and I have nothing. You may win in the end. You may intercell me and hurt me and humiliate me, but I will make sure you lose everything I can take from you on the way down. I promise you this. I throw his own words back at him. This is the least of what I can do. Cardon looks at me as though he's never seen me before. He looks at me as though no one has ever spoken to him like this. Maybe no one has. I turn from him and begin walking away, half expecting Cardon to grab my shoulder and throw me to the ground, half expecting him to find the rowan berry necklace at my throat, snap it, and speak the words that will make me crawl back to him, begging despite all my big talk. But he says nothing. I feel his gaze on my back, pricking the hairs on my neck. It's all I can do to not run. I dare not look toward Terran and Locke, but I catch a glimpse of Nicasia staring at me, open-mouthed. Balerion looks furious, his hands fisted at his sides in mute rage. I stagger past the tournament tents to a stone fountain, where I splash my face with water. I bend down, starting to clean the gravel from my knees. My legs feel stiff, and I'm shaking all over. Are you alright? Locke asks, gazing down with his tawny fox eyes. I didn't even hear him behind me. I am not alright, but he can't know that. He shouldn't be asking. What do you care? I say, spitting the words out. The way he's looking at me makes me feel more pathetic than ever. He leans against the fountain, letting its slow, lazy smile grow on his mouth. It's funny, that's all. Funny? I echo, furious. You think that was funny? He shakes his head, still smiling. No, it's funny how you get under his skin. At first, I'm not sure I heard him right. I almost ask whom he's talking about because I can't quite believe he's admitting that high and mighty Cardon is affected by anything. Like a splinter, I say, of iron. No one else bothers him quite like you, quite the way that you do. He picks up a towel, then wets it, and then kneels down beside me and carefully wipes my face. I suck in a breath when the cold cloth touches the sensitive parts of my eye. But he is far gentler than I would have been to myself. His face is solemn and focused on what he's doing. He doesn't seem to notice me studying him. His long face and sharp chin, his curling red-brown hair, the way his eyelashes catch the light. Then he does notice. He's looking at me, and I'm looking back at him. And it's the strangest thing, because I thought Locke would never notice anyone like me. He is noticing, though. He's smiling like he did that night at the court, as though we shared a secret. He's smiling as if we're sharing another one. Keep it up, he says. I wonder at those words. Can he really mean them? As I make my way back to the tournament and my sisters, I can't stop thinking of Cardon's sharp face, nor can I stop considering Locke's smile. I am not altogether sure which is more thrilling and which is more dangerous. Chops Sutton! Alright. And we done. We done with our reading for today.
How we feeling, y'all? How we feeling about the book?